Who's Canada's GM and who's making this announcement?
I love that conspiracy
Same person.
It's Don Sweeney.
Don Sweeney. So that just gives me a, Charlie McAvoy was incredible on Saturday against Connor McDavid. And when he was announced out, there's this kind of scramble of what does USA do now? We now know that Quinn Hughes is going to play in his place. But there is so much about this that either smells, stinks, leaves us with questions about the Bruins. So let's do it. First, let's start with the injury, which we don't know how it occurred, but it's an upper body injury that there's been talk of infection. I've heard some other stuff that maybe it isn't an infection and maybe it's worse than an infection. He took in the Thursday game against Finland a bad cross check, and we're not showing the video, but we're showing you some pics from Joel Armia into like the post essentially, and you see the shove there from Joel Armia, and I wish I had like 100 more stills of Charlie McAvoy getting up after, because he was wincing and he was kind of holding, like maybe having like trouble moving his arm and everything. So not good times. That's the injury. Maybe it's something like, or I guess that covers like the what could have happened. It could have been something else. Maybe he already had something lingering, but like we have at least, here's how he could have been injured. He played on Saturday against Canada, and he played well on Saturday against Canada. He threw a massive hit on Connor McDavid Saturday against Canada. So he was at least good enough to go there. I don't know if maybe something is re-aggravated or something, but are you surprised that he is out and that Charlie McAvoy, of all people, Mr. America, isn't able to go?
Yeah, I mean, like, without getting too deep into the conspiracy theory, like, saw the Joel Armia check, and I was like, oh, that did look bad. And I remembered in that Finland game, watching it live, I was like, as a Bruins fan, I was like, oh, fuck, immediately seeing that. Because there was the goal cam in which he looked like he was having a bad time. And then it seemed like that was eased very quickly, because he played the rest of that game, then played maybe the best game in a couple of years on Saturday night, and had a couple, like, his physicality was definitely there in that game. So, like, I don't want to get too deep in the conspiracy theory stuff, but it is definitely concerning to, like, get hospitalized.
Yes. So last night he ends up in the hospital, and this is the statement that the Bruins put out. Charlie was admitted to Massachusetts General Hospital on Monday to undergo testing related to an upper body injury sustained during the Four Nations face-off, and is currently being evaluated by Boston Bruins head team physician Dr. Peter Asness. He will not play for Team USA in the Four Nations Face-Off Championship on Thursday at TD Garden. The Boston Bruins will provide further updates on his condition and status as soon as they become available. And then underneath it says it's like Boston Bruins in a like little arched thing. It's a fun little graphic that they've put together. My big thinking man, curious emoji person reaction is, why are the Bruins announcing this? Why are the Bruins announcing that he is out for Thursday's game? And why are they? I understand kind of protecting your investment and maybe trying to force the issue and be like, oh, he is not playing. In case you're thinking of having it, we're saying he's out. So you want to make liars out of us and make this tournament look like a bit of a mess, then fine, you can do that. We're saying he's out because we don't want him playing. Who's Canada's GM and who's making this announcement?
I love that conspiracy
Same person.
It's Don Sweeney.
Don Sweeney. So that just gives me a, interesting. If that's what they were up to, kind of fucked themselves because they opened the door for Quinn Hughes. But like, why not give the United States the control and power there to maybe keep him to the last minute? Maybe it's a thing we find out in warmups. You have this sort of competitive edge there, or just competitive opportunity, I'll call it. I was struck very hard by this emoji when I got this statement, because I don't think it should be coming from the team. I think it should be coming from USA.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is a USA roster decision, even though like we've seen the NHL teams kind of involve and stick their hand into this tournament. Quinn Hughes famously was not allowed by the Vancouver Canucks.
I'm not allowed.
They came to a mutual decision that he should not play for the USA. So it's not like unprecedented, but I do love the conspiracy and the potential gamesmanship at play here of Don Sweeney being like, nope, he's not playing for you guys. Fuck off.
Now,
and then them countering with, well, here's the card that we have up our sleeves. Quinn Hughes, you're up, baby.
So if I am going to go in that direction and do the conspiracy theory thing and levy accusations at our dear friends, the Boston Bruins, we should also go far in the other direction and explore that and ask, well, what if Charlie McAvoy like really is hurt and it is a no-brainer for him to not play in this game? That's also possible. And quite frankly, when I tweeted that we would be having this discussion, someone reached out and was like, love this take, but buddy, you wish it was just an infection. Because there's some talk from good reporters that it's an infection related to something that was going on. I've heard some stuff that like he's in a lot of pain and it is for real we'll say like a classic upper body injury. I don't know if that means he's going to be out for a long time, but I just got some pushback in saying like, no, if he's out for this game, it's because like he really can't play. Which leads us to this. What do the Bruins do if Charlie McAvoy is actually hurt here? They are 5th in the wild card. They've got some players who have told us they don't anticipate being traded. Does that change things? Did Joel Armia just get Brad Marchand traded?
Joel Armia. Yeah.
It's not what his hockey reference page says, for the record, because I saw someone point that out in the chat.
It is Joel Armia.
Hockey reference page says Joel. Just
been watching a lot of Canadians this year. It is Joel Armia, I believe.
I don't trust the French to get that right.
Yeah, maybe you're hearing it in French, and you are now speaking
now you're
French.
doing the Centre Bell.
I don't speak French.
Pete doesn't see French.
I push back on
Joel
French.
Armia plays at the Centre Bell, and Joel Armia plays at the Bell Center.
What's that thing you're always saying? Pete, you're always saying you don't see color? Like that Pete doesn't hear French.
We also have, while we're on this topic,
it's racist.
We have slightly confirmed from the source himself. It is Rupe Hintz.
I don't know if I believe that. Later. Yeah, no. There's a video of Rupe Hintz saying his name, but there's also a video of Rupe Hintz saying like Rupe Hintz.
And as we've learned in the last 24 hours, you can't trust Rupe Hintz with anything.
Good one.
And to answer your question, like, what are the Bruins going to do if Charlie McAvoy is hurt? My answer is they're probably going to do the same thing that they've been doing for most of the season. They're going to lose. The first thought for me was like, well, I guess they're probably going to be sellers at the deadline, because the general consensus from a lot of people, or at least the leaning, is that the next week or so after the Four Nations break is going to determine what the Bruins' approach is at the deadline. And if Charlie McAvoy is not going to be in the lineup, and if it's as serious as maybe you're hearing or whatever, then Charlie McAvoy being out of the lineup for the Bruins is going to fuck them. They are not good without Charlie McAvoy.
And I'll say, I'm not hearing anything of like, oh, like he's going to be out a while or anything like that. I just heard something on like, no, it's a real injury. Like something that would keep somebody out for a game, not merely, just kind of dealing with an infection. And maybe if an infection's bad enough, a player could miss a game. All I know is Charlie McAvoy don't strike me as the type who's like, not feeling so hot.
Especially
better
for Team USA.
I think he would be a lot more excited to play a USA game right now. Everybody would be more excited to play in this final than 99% of their regular season NHL games.
Jack Eichel said it's the biggest game he's played in his career, and he won a Stanley Cup and played for the national championship.
And he even said, he was like, I have won a Stanley Cup. This might be the biggest game.
We all silly like the mayor.